right. Hey, welcome to another episode of Inquiring Minds. I am Steve Harper, and with me is my co-host Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you doing today?
I'm so good, it's scary.
So good, it's scary. Could it ever be scary to be that good? I don't know. That could be the question of the day. I'm not sure. We might have to do an episode on that.
Yeah, like when life is so good, even
Yeah,
in the midst of what's going on here, the craziness, the siege, everything else, that you look at life, I look at life and I go, how lucky can I be? And I know we build towards that,
yeah,
but really to wake up with a sense of absolute contentment is great. And
it is
so,
great.
yeah,
It's
I
kind
know
of
I'm
funny
off
you're feeling
topic.
that way because I actually thought about that this past weekend, just how, not everything goes great, right? There are bumps along the road, but generally, everything that I've been focused on this year has, without question, kind of just fallen into line, and it just feels good when things are clicking and everything is working the way you want it to work. It really just you just kind of want more of that, right? So it's just it's really important, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of say thanks and have some gratitude towards it. So yeah, that's great you're feeling that way too. Maybe it's our mutual energy that we're bringing to the table here.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, what are we talking about today?
Is it possible to think about nothing?
Oh boy, this should be a good one. uh I suspect you're going to tell me yes, it's possible. For me, my natural response to that is no way. it's it's not possible for me the way my brain works. But in what context did this come up for you, and sort of how have you used it with your coaching clients?
I realize I'm in the middle of such intense stuff. I was having a conversation with my son Michael about the craziness here in Ottawa right now with the capital being under siege, really, with a bunch of, I'm not calling them protesters because they're
Yep.
not.
Yep.
They're almost terrorists by holding the people of the city hostage.
Hmm.
And I was saying to Michael, every conversation, and he agreed on this, veers towards what's going on in the red zone or the downtown core of the
Yep.
capital city of our country. And doesn't matter what we start off talking with, it veers that way. And I recognize that I need to be able to clear my mind of everything and not think about anything in order to be present with my clients, because everybody's dealing with their own stuff,
Sure.
not
Sure.
and how does one do that? And I started asking myself, so if I sit on the floor playing with my dog Shadow, does that just let my thoughts go, and am I thinking of nothing? No, I'm thinking about how much I love this animal in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
and how funny he is sometimes. Um, can I think of nothing? I'm not sure it's possible. Even when I'm meditating or centering, which is what I do more than meditating, I'm focusing on colors. I'm focusing on something like a visualization,
Sure.
something that will calm me, but I'm not thinking of nothing. And so I wanted to throw it out there to you and our listeners. Is it possible to think of nothing, and how do you do it?
Yeah. I really find this one interesting because I have struggled with this crazy hamster that runs around my head all the time, and it seems to want to run the cage at night, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and it's been an odd scenario for me because over the last several years, you and I have talked about this offline, I really have tried to reduce my stress and try to take some very intentional steps to calm my mind and calm my thinking as much as possible. But I've never contemplated, can I ever get to that dead center of zero nothingness, right? It's kind of an interesting concept because meditation for me was never super easy, but I've now fallen into that practice. It is And I also do centering as well. But I think meditation for me on a daily basis has helped me calm my stress levels, helped me calm all of the crazy thoughts that go around in my head, all the things that I have to do, and allows me to sort of systematically kind of categorize everything that I need to accomplish throughout a day, but in a more calm, intentional way. And that has helped. But like you said, even with some meditation, you're focusing on a mantra or a color or one consistent thought, your mind is still working, on that one little puzzle piece of whatever it is. And I'm thinking about, how do you get to back to zero, right? So that you can kind of do the reboot and refresh. And I was thinking, me being a tech guy, it's like kind of like your laptop. When you get to a point and you've got so much junk operating in your browser or in your operating system, your system doesn't operate efficiently, right? So, a
Yeah.
technical response is you've got to clear your cache. You have to reset everything back to a do-over state so that you can start building from there and things run more efficiently, you operate more effectively. Your software programs are far more responsive, and we kind of have to get that way to ourselves, and we have to find that thing that makes it sort of a requirement or an important activity as an individual, to remember to do that on maybe once a day or maybe several times a day in order to be super effective at whatever it is that we do, right? Personally or professionally.
That's it. I do mindfulness exercises with some of my clients who are really in the middle of turbulence, to
Could
be
we do one?
mindful of.
Could we try? Could we try one?
Absolutely. It centers on your breathing.
Okay.
Um, just to take a pause, you just close your eyes and you just breathe in and out, and in and out, and feel the air circulate around you. Just be calm and clear your mind of everything except for your breathing. And just in and out. Now, I'm not going to spend obviously our whole call on this, but just being aware of your breathing, it's really hard to be uptight and tense when you're feeling the flow of breath coming in and being expelled. And you breathe through your nose and you exhale gently through your mouth.
Yep.
And just to have that sense of calm. It's interesting. I get so into this that if I'm not grounded with my arms on the arms of a chair, for example, I feel like I'm spinning, like being at one with gravity.
Yep.
And it's very discombobulating because I sort of start and I want to
Yep.
grab onto something, which negates everything. So I usually sit on
Yep.
the floor to do this, or in a chair that has arms that I could really, have that stability. But it's not thinking nothing. It's thinking about the breath, the relaxation of recognizing that when you breathe, you can't be uptight. You can't cry when you're doing this kind of breathing. It really does it takes your body to a whole new level. So I'm wondering, should we learn to think about nothing? That's the
Well,
second part of this question.
yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because I think actually the way that I might approach this in that activity was really good. I do something very similar in my centering technique, or if I'm starting to get into meditation, it's very similar because when you focus just on the one activity, the breath, it is amazing when you start thinking, where am I holding tension in my body? Where is
Yep.
how open and fluid is my breathing? And how you can train your system to overcome all of that and almost get back to that start finish line, right, that zero. And the breath, even though you're focusing on that one small activity, it's the activity that we all depend on for absolute life. So it's not nothing, but then again, it isn't something, it is natural, rhythmic approach to just being in the moment. And so even though we may our thought process is how do I clear my mind from thinking about anything, and you're now telling me to think about my breath. The breath is the only thing, and it is the one necessary thing that has to happen in that moment in order for us to survive. And so at the end of the day, I do think you get back to nothing, because when you can only focus on that one thing, you're not thinking about, what my next call is going to be like, or what my next meeting, or what project I need to do, or how do I get back to that client that's got that one request, or all of those things sort of just wash away, and you're just focusing on being in the moment. And that moment, although in the grand scheme of things is probably nothingness, it's the probably the most critical thing that you can do for yourself in that moment, or in that, in the craziness of your life, getting yourself back to that, that square one, I think is really really important. And so I think that the type A personalities out there will be like, oh, but you're still thinking about your breathing, and trying to the gotchas of the world, right? And I know a few of them. I might be one, I will say. But at the end of the day, it really is the only thing that you're focused on in the moment, which means that I've completely reset my cache mentally, and I'm allowing myself the freedom to just be present right then, right there, for however long it might be. Could be just for a minute, it could be for 20 minutes, it could just, whatever that time period is, but it is completely freeing, and helps you come back out of that prepared and ready for battle in a much more focused, much more intentional way.
For sure. And, type A personalities or not, like people say to me all the time, do you ever sleep? Because of everything that's on my plate. And I do my best to sleep. I go to sleep. Whether or not I stay asleep is another thing. But I will not. I used to get out of bed to work when I couldn't sleep at night because I would go to sleep, have a 2-hour power nap, 1:30 in the morning. I'm up. I'm raring to go, and that's
Yep.
not good. It's not healthy, especially as I get older.
Right.
So now I just literally force myself to think of nothing, and then go to imagining that I was actually sleeping until I go back to sleep. It's bizarre, but it works for me. And
Yep.
I realized that one thing that I do know through science is that our brains process the most difficult things while we're sleeping and get rid of the fluff automatically. So that it gets rid of the clutter and helps us focus on. So, you know how many times you wake up in the morning going, I have the solution, or I know what to do, or I know how to move forward. That's because the noise is gone.
Yeah.
So, what this is telling me is we would benefit from figuring out a way to do this during the day, not just when we're sleeping, to be mindful, to take the moments, a few minutes a day, to do a mindfulness exercise. Just focus on the breathing, on our bodies, let go of tension, from your fingers to your toes, like systematically, and focus on that. So you have such a sense of fluidity, in your body, that you could take that deep breath and then tackle whatever it is that's on your plate. And when I could do that with people in the most intense situations that you could imagine, what would that do for people in the corporate environment,
Yeah.
people in difficult family situations, to say, 1 minute, I need to start from a place of calm,
Yeah.
not excitement. And what's the difference to be reflective as opposed to reactive,
Yeah.
is really key. I would love to throw this out to our listeners and ask them to let us know, and we'll talk about the various ways of doing that. How do they clear their minds of the clutter? Or do they clear their minds of the clutter? And what if they could actually figure out or find out a process by which they could do that, which is so healthy for them, and everyone around them, obviously, if they're calm and they're focused and centered.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think it's important, and I don't think a lot of people, especially the clients that I work with, they never think about doing this, right? And you mentioned a very important point. Your brain is actually doing all the heavy lifting when you're asleep, And so when I go back to the sort of, clearing the cache or taking out the trash, if you will, it's like deleting all the stuff that, emotional trauma, conversations that you're holding on to that you didn't need to, all the junk and garbage, right? It's a great opportunity for your brain to sort of, process that and push it away so that you can free it up. And I think that the interesting thing about doing these, centering activities during the day is that, whatever has happened from say 8 to 12, when you do it at lunch, you're also kind of doing that same kind of maintenance mode, clean out mode at that point, making yourself more efficient for the afternoon ahead. I think it becomes a really valuable activity because it allows you to stay operating at the highest level of efficiency mentally as you possibly can be. And it also is a great reminder to yourself is that you can't be effective at trying to chase 20 rabbits. You have to chase one, and you got to chase it to conclusion, and then you can move on to the next one. And I think especially for business leaders that you work with and I've worked with, and it's really tough for entrepreneurs because there's so much stuff going on at any given time, and they got 30 tabs open on their laptop, and they're got their phone, and they got texts and Slack, and messages coming in at all the time. You have to say, hey, when is enough enough? And eventually your
Yeah,
body will tell you when you've had enough, because you'll experience feelings of burnout. You'll be more susceptible to disease and sickness. You'll just not feel like you are at your best. And what I find, at least for me, and that's how I ran. I mean, that's pretty much how I did it. You and I are very similar. Get up in the middle of the night, be like jamming, be working. Then I'd wonder why I was in a grumpy mood, like mid morning, or not fun to be around by early afternoon. And the reality was, I was setting myself up for failure because I was allowing things to control me, as opposed to controlling what I allow in here and what I allow out. And resetting those those perspectives with the activity of centering or meditation has really been hugely beneficial. Getting a good night's sleep, forcing myself to turn off the electronic devices and anything that presents a distraction for me or may get me thinking. I used to go to bed thinking, reading a business book, because I used to read a crazy number of books. And I don't do that anymore because I would be in a book thinking about the strategy or the idea that I could apply to a client or one of my companies. And the next thing you know, you're up all night, right? So I stopped
that's
doing
right.
any of those things, and you start paying attention to what works and what doesn't. And then start asking yourself, am I in control? Am I doing everything I can to effectively stay in control? And if not, what changes can I make? And for me, and it sounds like for you as well, these little small moments of respite are hugely valuable and beneficial to the long game.
I just remember that when you do burn out or you feel like you're frying literally, that doesn't happen from what you did yesterday. That happens from what you did for years,
Yeah,
months.
yeah, it's a
And
culmination. Yeah,
that's right. And you're not going to fix it in one day. You're not going to fix it in one meditation session or one mindfulness session. What you're going to do is stop it from increasing and start reversing it by doing something on a daily basis to keep you centered.
yep.
And it's to say, "Oh, I don't need that now. I don't need that now. Who has time for this?" If you're saying, "Who has time for this?" you're the one that needs it, because sooner than later you are going to experience burnout or be at the peak of it, where it's going to be much harder to turn around.
Yep,
So figure out how you could think of nothing
yep.
and give yourself the container, the space in order to do that, to just be.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great advice. Well, as we look to wrap this up, we would love to hear from our listeners and those that might see this on Facebook and YouTube. Let us know what you do to kind of reset. How do you process this, this approach for yourself? Have you thought about it? If not, why not? We'd love to engage in a conversation. And if you actually find that, hey, I've tried this, I've gotten tapes, or I've bought programs, and nothing is working, then Donna and I would love to have a conversation with you. We'd make ourselves available to talk through that process to maybe help you get on the right path, because we are both examples of how powerful this process can be and what it can do for you. So we definitely encourage you to connect with us. Donna, how might people reach out to us and share those comments or those thoughts? And if they wanted to get engaged with us, how would they do that?
So reach out through our websites. Steve is at rebelcentral.com. I'm Stephen Harper on the brain. We're in the
Yeah,
middle of political craziness. I'm at donnacarlin.com, Carlin with a K. And all our social media links are on there. And that's a great way to continue the conversations with us is through our posts on social media and messaging us that way. And especially our Facebook group. Our following is increasing, but I encourage you to actually speak up and let us know what your 3 cents are,
yeah.
what your opinions are, what you want us to speak on, and how you've taken what we've shared and used it in your lives, because that would be really beneficial for everybody listening.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let us know you're there. Let us know what you want us to talk about or what you're thinking of these episodes. If you are new to the show, I highly encourage you to go back and look. We've got a tremendous amount of episodes that we've done with great conversations. And like we said, everything that we have done relative to this show has been about, starting with a question that you can take out into your life, into your work teams, and extend this conversation beyond just this show. So we hope you do that and let us know what your experience is there. Donna, this is, always fun. I enjoy these conversations. It gets me thinking. It reminds me that I need to go probably center right now.
There you
So
go.
have a fantastic day, and we will be back with another episode of Inquiring Minds very soon.
Have a good one.